The Big Ten agreed to close their investigation. It is resolved now. Harbaugh gets a 3-game suspension, of which he's already served 33% of that. He was not there for Penn State. That's their second toughest game of the year. He won't be there this weekend for Maryland. They should probably win. And then he'll be off the sideline for Ohio State. It'd be much better to have him. That's a real team. But this idea that the punishment from the Big Ten was going to be severe, punitive, was laughable. Everything in life is negotiable. Oh, way more than you think. You and your wife negotiate things. You and your kids do. The Big Ten didn't want to get into a lawsuit with Michigan, especially Michigan. It's basically Ohio State with more esteemed academics. There is no proof, by the way, that Harbaugh knew. I know, Buckeye fans, you're sure he did. But I defended Buckeye fans when everybody said they were sure Ryan Day turned in Harbaugh. And I said, no, he didn't. I suspect it's an inside job because head coaches in college football are highly compensated and often polarizing. And I was right. So don't rush to think Harbaugh knew, internet sleuths. If the Big Ten thought he did, the punishment would have been more severe. The NCAA will step in eventually. I suppose it'll be after the season and hand down something that will be like scholarship limits or a suspension again. It should be noted, Michigan's never lost when Harbaugh's not on the sidelines. A great indication of how well the program is run. Is it fair? Is it reasonable? Well, you and I may differ in opinion. I do not think advanced scouting, which is called cheating, was deciding games. Ohio State for years and years crushed everybody in this conference, including Michigan. Why? Better coaches, better players. And Michigan for years and years has crushed everybody in this conference except Ohio State because they got a better coach and better players. But in the last 2 years, Michigan got a really good quarterback. So they even crushed Ohio State. And Buckeye fans believe that is just because of the cheating. It's not because Harbaugh, who got to a Super Bowl, is a better coach than Ryan Day, which he is, or that he has a better game plan the last 2 years, or they're more a physical football team the last 2 years than Ohio State, which has gotten increasingly finesse over the last 3 years. Very receiver dominant, receiver dependent. But guess what? We're going to find out if you're right or I'm right in 8 days, because that's when Ohio State goes to Michigan and plays. And if Ohio State, now with all that dreadful cheating, hammers Michigan, well, I guess I was wrong. Guess I'll be wrong. But let me ask you a question, Buckeye fans. You've lost 2 straight, been humiliated, even with CJ Stroud. What if Michigan humiliates you again? Won't be any cheating. Won't even be Harbaugh. We're going to make fun of you. Because you were outraged, absolutely outraged, and absolutely sure were those Michigan fans that Ryan Day turned him in. And I said, I don't believe that's true. I defended you, and I was right. And I think I'm right here. But don't celebrate too loudly on Harbaugh missing that game on the sidelines. Because if Michigan rolls Ohio State in 8 days without the cheating in Harbaugh, that's embarrassing. They will officially own Ohio. Celebrate today. Pump your fist today. Go to Reddit boards today. I'm sure there's a Buckeye site. You're declaring victory. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. And in 8 days, we will have a conclusion. But I don't believe Michigan's been thumping Ohio State the last 2 years because they're cheating. I think Jim Harbaugh's career illustrates, without question, that when he gets an NFL quarterback or a top quarterback, he goes from beating people to thumping everybody. Ask Aaron Rodgers, who got worked by Kaepernick. And not for a power outage, he may have won a Super Bowl. Go ask USC, where Pete Carroll confronted Harbaugh at midfield in the middle of his dynasty. Said, what's the deal? Jim said, hey, I'm just competing. They humiliated USC and Pete Carroll. The dynasty out west, the last one. So in 8 days, we're going to have a conclusion here. But Ohio State, be careful about the celebration. Because if they roll you again, can't blame cheating, and no Harbaugh on the sidelines, will illustrate just how far Michigan has pulled away from Ohio State. I can't wait. Maybe wrong, but that's why sports is great. Gratification, 8 days. You're right, I'm right. We'll discover it. All right, so I saw this. This was weird. People freaked out about this. Sounds like people lost some bets last night. The NFL is investigating why the Bengals did not list quarterback Joe Burrow on their injury report when the team had posted a picture of him wearing some sort of device on his wrist Wednesday night. And he appeared to be kind of hampered by the injury early in the game. Okay, so let me ask you this. Joe Burrow practiced all week and was very effective in the game, 11 for 17 with a touchdown. And then re-aggravated a sore wrist. What do you want the NFL to do? In college football, they don't tell you anything. In hockey, they'll tell you upper body, lower body injury. In the NBA, starters tell the coach at 6:15, load management, I don't want to play. And you're upset at this? The NFL tells us who practices all week. They tell us every player who's in, who's out. They tell us throughout the week, are they questionable? Are they doubtful? What more do you want? Do you want an asterisk next to that? Joe Burrow, he practiced. He was really good. And his wrist was kind of sore, but he was really good, and his wrist is sore. There's a difference between an injury and a sore wrist. Well, he was wearing a device. Oh, you mean like what Tom Brady wore his last 12 years on his knee? Or the fact that Burrow wears a pad on his calf every time he comes to the sideline. He wears a device every time he leaves the field. Players are wearing all sorts of stuff. What do you want the league to do? Well, there's a device. You think you know who's hurt. I always laugh at guys, you think you have all the information. Your wife's had fantasies. They're not about you. She tell you? You can't even get a straight answer from who you're married to. None of us can. Our kids lie to us. And you think you're going to get all the information. By the way, players in this league want to play. They don't even tell coaches all the time when they're hurt. We see this all the time. Players do not disclose all the information. They got a family to feed. They want to play. I'm good. I'm fine. And they have their own trainers at home. They don't want to tell the coach I'm banged up. So players have been hiding injuries for years. And by the way, you think you're getting a straight skinny from Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick for the last 10 years? Give me a break. When people think they have all the information, when everybody was so punitive to Tiger Woods in the affair, probably half the guys in the tour had him. You just don't know about it. They all fly private jets. You don't know what goes on in those things. I got stories. I got receipts. But what do you want the NFL to do? I'm not defending the NFL. They make plenty of mistakes. But in the NBA, players just don't suddenly play. Nobody knows. In hockey, upper body, lower body. College football, no disclosure. They don't tell you anything. You got coaches fibbing. You got players, by the way. I don't blame players at all. Players all the time do not disclose information to their coaches. They want to get out there and make money. So this pristine world people live in, that you think you're getting all this information from even family members, from teams, you're not. Some of you lost a bet. I would have lost a bet if I'd have bet the Bengals. I thought that was the side last night. But he wore a device. He practiced all week. He was good in the game. He was 11 of 17 with a touchdown. And he aggravated something. My guess is Joe Burrow got hurt last week, banged his hand on a helmet somewhere. It happens. Matt Stafford, I swear to God, it happens 4 times a year. And Burrow banged his hand on a helmet. It was aggravated. He iced it. He practiced throughout the week. It wasn't great. It was fine. And over the last 10, 12 hours before the game, he wore a device to try to get some stability on it. Well, what do you want the NFL to do? If you had to list every player who's got a device, who's wearing, Jalen Hurts has not been healthy for a year and a half. He's not on the injury report. Jalen Hurts hasn't been healthy forever. When you ask Jalen Hurts if he's healthy, he gets angry. He's like, I'm good enough. You don't want to talk about it. Most players don't want to talk about it. Zach Taylor was asked about Joe Burrow's wrist after the game.
It looked like he sprained his wrist, so fell on it early in the game and then felt it on the touchdown pass.
Zach, there was a lot made on social media about something that Burrow was wearing on his wrist, getting off the bus.
That was the first I saw anything about it.
For the record, you ever gone to work not feeling great, and then at lunch you're like, yeah, I'm going to go home. I probably shouldn't have come to work. You don't think NFL guys go to games not feeling great, not 100%, something's wrapped a little tight, more than people know? Sometimes a player will do it himself. He doesn't want to disclose it. What do you want? None of us are getting complete information anywhere. Family, wife, kids. Only the delusional think they are. No, I don't get it from my bosses. You don't either. You think J-Mac tells me everything? I don't tell him everything. The bottom line is you're not going to get an injury report with 55 guys. Left tackle, Ronnie Stanley's got an owie. By week 11, everybody is hurt. By week 4, nobody's completely healthy. The NFL does about as good a job as you're going to get. They tell us who practices and who doesn't. They tell us why. They tell us if they're going to play. They tell us if they're questionable. Sometimes you don't have nearly as much information as you think you do. All right, J-Mac, Blazing 5, top of next hour. Saquon Barkley's